Hello guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a Hammer Film horror review. It's been a while since we've had a look at Hammer Films, but I promise you over the next few weeks, few months, I'm going to delve in to the wonderful world of Hammer Films. And we're starting off tonight with an absolute classic of a film, and it is Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. This is a newly released box set from Hammer itself. This is their first actual release. All their other films have been released by other companies, be it Studio Canal, be it Indicator, or whatever they're coming through, Network. But this is actually being released by Hammer itself, and it is an amazing collection. So, I'll show you this after we talk about the film. So yeah, the film is about a vampire hunter called Captain Kronos. The end. No, and it's an absolute fantastic film. To me, it is Hammer's folk horror film. It plays out more like a folk horror than it does a vampire film, because it's sort of got loads of kind of little folklores in there, like Toad in the Hole. It tells you the actual story of Toad in the Hole, where it is supposed to be like if a vampire passes over it. If you bury a dead toad in the ground, and a vampire passes over it, the toad will come back to life. So that's like a story of Toad in the Hole, and there's all these little British and English sort of folklores, and the film plays out, I'd say, more like Blood on Satan's Claw than it does any sort of vampire film. So it's like a cross between Blood on Satan's Claw and the Three Musketeers, because it's got swashbuckling in it, it's got swordplay and stuff like that, which is an absolute fantastic way to play. It is about Captain Kronos, and he's going around the country with his protege. He's sort of like a second-hand man. He's like this hunchback guy who goes around, and they're going around searching for vampires. In this one, the film starts with a vampire killing this young woman in the woods. This beautiful young woman, and our vampire's cloaked in the black cape. Doesn't look like a normal sort of a vampire. Looks a bit like more of a Dementor from Harry Potter. And this is a different sort of vampire. Vampires feed on humans for blood. This one doesn't. It feeds on people for life force, for its youth. So when these young women are attacked by vampires, they age like really old, and it's quite eerie and scary when you first sort of see it. And a lot of these sort of killings all take place in the woodlands. This is why it's sort of very much like a Blood on Satan's Claw. We don't have a vampire castle and stuff like that. We have vampire bats in it, but there's a lot different to what you would see in any sort of vampire films. These vampires cannot be killed by wooden stakes. Although our Captain Kronos has got wooden stakes with him, he can't kill them with it, and they find the only way to kill them is by steel. And of course, what does he carry around? A sword. So it's a really well played out film. We've got loads of sort of horrible villains live in the town, and they sort of like bully a lot of town folk and stuff like that. And now Captain Kronos even sorts them out, and he meets our beautiful heroine in the film, who's played by Carolyn Monroe. She is stunning in this film. He finds her at the beginning in a stock, and she's been put in a stock, and he asks her why she's in there, and she says because she danced on a Sunday. So this is another sort of folklore and folk horror sort of ingredient. She's broken a law of like a religious sort of law, and she's been put in this stock. Anyway, he frees her, and she seems to get on board with him, and they tend to have some sort of romantic interlude throughout the film. And the film follows Kronos and his friend Marcus. I'm not sure how he's a friend. I don't know if it's or whatever, but he's also involved helping to look for these vampires. But he unfortunately, Marcus gets struck down by a vampire and turns into a vampire himself. And in fact, where Cronus has to kill him, he doesn't. He wants to be killed because he doesn't want to be a creature of the night. And he says, use me to find out what he can do to kill these vampires. They try everything. They try stake through the heart. They try fire. They try hanging him. The only thing that kills him is this steel cross that he's wearing. When it gets stuck into his skin, he dies and turns back to this old man and dies. So they know that steel is the only way to kill him. So the hunt is on to sort of like find who our vampires are, and it's like it's like a detective almost, and they're trying to seek out who these vampires are. They're looking for this stagecoach that seems to be appearing around when these murders happen, and we meet this sort of rich family who live in this mansion where they've got this young son called Paul and his sister, and their supposedly aging mother who gets really old, and their father's died, and so they keep visiting the grave, and this is how they sort of encounter this family. And Paul Marcus, who's like a doctor, like I said, he succumbs to his end in the film, and the villagers think that it's Captain Kronos that's killed him. Well, he has killed him, but he had to because he's a vampire. But they all go after Captain Kronos, and Captain Kronos just and off they all go. And so he's handy with the sword, and it's really cool. And he's dressed like an old sort of cavalier sort of soldier, because apparently he used to be a soldier, and a lot of people think, oh, is he a deserter? But he's not. He's just got his own sort of job to do, and that's sort of how the film plays out. It's a great film. I don't want to go into too much depth with the story because you've got to watch it to enjoy it. I was very dubious about this film because I'm thinking, swashbuckling in a horror film, is this more, is this going to be more like Robin Hood or something like that? And it has moments like that, but that again is full of British heritage and folklore. And there's so much in this film. Oodles folklore throughout it. There's loads of English eccentric stuff going throughout the film, and it's so English looking, sort of this time and period looking, with these sort of like wooden furniture in the pubs and all this crazy things, and these beautiful woodlands and fields, and not sort of like covered with roads and cities and towns. It's set way back in that time, and it looks amazing. It's really cool. So to me, this is Hammer's folk horror film, not a vampire film. There's vampires in it, but they're not the main thing in this film. It's an essential watch. It's 10 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. And what a fantastic box set that they produced here. I've tried to keep the cellophane on it as much as I can, just to keep it in really good condition, because once I've watched and I've done all what I want to do with it, special features, this will go into my display cabinet. And if this is what Hammer can do and put out themselves without another company, please do more. Do some more like this. Do some classic films. There's some classic films that have never got a Blu-ray release, let alone 4K. This is a 4K release. We've got things like Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed. We've got Frankenstein Created Woman. These films have never seen the light of day on Blu-ray. There's DVD releases of them, but they've never seen the light of day on Blu-ray, and that would be fantastic if they did. And things like the obscure titles like The Nanny, that would look amazing in 4K because it's black and white. So if they could do some more things like that, I believe there is a new one coming out soon called A Four-Sided Triangle, which I've not seen, so I will probably pick that up if it's anything like this. I don't think it's as extravagant as this, but I'm probably thinking about picking that up. This isn't cheap, guys. It's quite pricey, but you get for what you pay for, and I'll show you. So this case here is in like a sort of artificial sort of leather bound sort of case, and it comes out into another case, and so that's really, really cool, absolutely wonderful. And it's got another case, and here's your front of the case with some original artwork, which is really, really smart and nice. Really like it. And then you turn it around and you've got some new artwork, which is fantastic too. Really, really cool. And he's so cool that he's even got his own sort of logo. What a cool tattoo that would be, hey? So yeah, it comes into this wonderful box, and we'll go through what's in the box. Again, this box is high quality. Right. So before we get to the films, we've got a book. This studies the film with lots of essays and stories and making of, and all sort of wonderful original posters, and it's absolutely fantastic. It tells you about the cast, because the main actor was a German guy, and he was dubbed with this English accent, which is, you know, you think, wow. So it's a really cool and interesting book to read, and it goes through a lot of sort of interviews and things like that in it. So you get a book. Let's put that in the box. You get another book, but this time it's a comic book. This is the horror classic as a graphic novel, and it is the whole film as a graphic novel. Now, this graphic novel was published in the 1970s. Now, back in the 1970s, there was a comic book, a magazine that used to come out every monthly, and it was called The House of Hammer, and they would and it'd be full of articles about horror films, mostly Hammer, but not always. There'd be things about other sort of horror films as well, but it was primarily about Hammer films. I do have a couple of the comics somewhere. Just got to try and dig them out. I could show you them one day. But in these issues, you would have a story like this, and it'd be set out. So you'd get like part 1, chapter 1. You'd have some stories for the comic. Then you'd have another chapter later on in the book, and you would pretty much get that into the whole book. And this is what this is, which is really, really cool. Dead chuffed that they've included this, and they need to do more of it. And it's got some amazing artwork in there, you know. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. Some really cool artwork, and they're all based on the proper characters that are in the film. Because I remember, like with some of the sort of Dracula ones, you know, they look like Christopher Lee and things like that. I mean, that looks like Carolyn Monroe down there. So yeah, we've got the graphic novel in the book, which is fantastic. So you've got 2 books. You get a double-sided poster, which again contains the 2 original artworks. So you've got that poster, and they're a fair old size. So you've got that poster with the artwork, and then you've got this one, which is really, really cool. The only man alive feared by the Walking Dead, it says. So you've got a double-sided poster, which is fantastic. And of course, with all these releases, you've got a set of art cards. Now, these are really thick and big ones. I don't really want to take it out of its slip. I like to keep them in there. But yeah, you've got a set of art cards. So now we get to the films. To the film, sorry. It's got on 4K. So you have, and it tells you what it is up there. You've got a widescreen UK release presentation. You've got the widescreen American US presentation of the film, both on 4K. You then have it on Blu-ray. You then have the American one on Blu-ray. You then have a disc of special features. And you have an amazing picture that this folds out to. How cool is that? So it sort of folds out to a whole sort of like picture. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that. With all the characters in it. Fantastic. And so this is what I say. If Hammer can produce this sort of quality of box set, I don't mind paying the extra money for it. You know, it's fantastic, especially if I'm going to get some classic movies like this in it. Wow, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Kronos Vampire Hunter, 10 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a great film, and it's a great way to start off some Hammer films for this year. I'm going to do it might have been out before this, but I'm doing a 10 awesome Hammer film movies that I would recommend to watch. I believe this is in it. So keep your eyes out for that if you haven't seen it. Or if it might come out after I've done this. I don't know. But anyway, keep your eyes out for it. And keep your eyes out for other horror channels. Keep your eyes out for Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzlewell. I'm Ice Little Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrews, Haunted House, and a massive shout out to the Maniac and a massive shout out to my lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.